Hello, greetings. This is an answer to Gulzar Alia from his official TV channel on YouTube. So when I was telling Haris Sultan, my mind was going towards this people's evidence here, not the soul's evidence or the characteristics of the soul, which when the soul dies and is reborn, that part of evidence, dying and reborn of that personality, that is not what I was thinking of when I told Haris Sultan that we cannot dismiss reincarnation the way you are doing. But of course, I now realize for atheists and materialistic scientists, they are looking for that evidence. And that evidence of the characteristics of a person when he dies, how it transfers and transmigrates to another body after death and then comes to life. After death, how it transmigrates, that evidence cannot be found by the scientists because it is limited. Science has not yet reached that evidence of the soul, of the characteristics or personalities or traits of that personality or person who died. Okay, so before I retire for the day, I have to complete this and I have to explain it. So thank God I couldn't find, I really couldn't find the PDF file, and what I found was Wikipedia. So going to the PDF file, I didn't read the whole thing, but the beginning was like very muddy, vague, that it's an hypothesis. And why is it a hypothesis? Then we find in Wikipedia where Ian Stevenson explains, and Wikipedia has given this. So evidence for reincarnation again, evidence of reincarnation on Wikipedia, then you understand. And what first, don't go to the reincarnation Wikipedia, but go to the Ian Stevenson Wikipedia. Okay, when you go to Ian Prettyman Stevenson, October 31st, 1918, born, passed away February 8, 2007, and Virginia School of Medicine, University of Virginia, sorry. He worked for the University of Virginia School of Medicine. He was a Canadian-born American psychiatrist. So step by step now I'm going. You see, I also didn't know, neither could the Karachi American School people could just say that she's, for her mother, the psychologist, like because of problems, dysfunctional family or something disturbed you. That's why you got attached to your teacher in Karachi American School. Her name was Miss Asteria Desa. Asteria Desa. Or we pronounced it Asteria. Okay, so so they thought people were guessworking about my love for her, my attachment towards her, my attachment on her. Now, when we got separated due to certain differences, problems we had, not a criminal act from me, but that it was too much for her, and something or a conspiracy behind our my leaving the Karachi American School, and then she would not accept me even after leaving Karachi American School, because first she said that I can't work and she's bothering me and this and that. So either she stays and I stay when I wanted to go back to Karachi American School. Then there were rumors also about me, so it's a big thing that I kissed a girl, and that's why I was thrown out of Karachi American School. That rumor followed me in my O-level CAS school, local Karachi, in Karachi, the Pakistani local school for O-levels and A-levels. And then they had ninth class too. So I didn't want to go to ninth class, and then I got into O-levels. I skipped ninth class. So there the rumors followed, false rumors against me. Now all this while I couldn't let go of Miss Desai, and I was going through a really bad time, hellish time. I couldn't go to school properly. I couldn't concentrate on my studies. And then I had started therapy since Dr. Todd had come to Karachi American School in 1982, 83. So they planned to send me there to her, their own American doctor who had come to Karachi and was living next to Karachi American School. She had a house there. So she transferred me. Now, at this time, I was like 13, 14 years old. And then she transferred me later on when they said no more, with Miss Desai. Miss Desai doesn't want to have anything to do with you. So I was transferred then. The Karachi American School didn't take me back. They said to my father that once our student leaves, I left on my own volition. So once the student leaves and wants to come back, we don't take her. And also that I was told by Dr. Todd, so there were two things that Miss Desai had written told her, and then it was written on my school record that either she stays or I stay. And she had complained that she can't work now and all this. Things were not going well in 8th grade, for us 7th to 8th grade. So like we had our differences since a long time. I was attached to her since I was 10 years old. I joined Karachi American School when I was 9 years old. Yeah, by I think 10 years old I was very attached to her. And she herself then later on told me that we are friends after school, Zahra. Like that, right? So I had to go to psychologists now since the age of 13 to, then I was transferred from Dr. Todd to Mrs. Eva Hassan, who was doing her PhD in Institute of Clinical Psychology, Dr. Farokh Ahmed's. After MA, she was there, so she was still Mrs. Eva Hassan. And then much later, under my eyes, she became a PhD. So it wasn't working. I couldn't let go of Miss Desai. I was going through hell. I wish they had found Dr. Weiss. I wish it wasn't Dr. Todd, and I wish it was Dr. Weiss. Because he had to go through a lot for his, in his career, to investigate a patient about her past life. He had to lose his, he risked his name as a psychiatrist. Dr. Weiss, Brian Weiss, Dr. Brian Weiss, you can check him. Many Masters, Many Lives, Many Masters is one of his books that I bought and read. Long time ago, I was in Karachi, my hometown. And so it wasn't working. So this psychiatrist also, I found out now, Ian Stevenson, because of these children having problems, he had to consider reincarnation as one of the reasons why a person can, be attached or fearful or have anxiety problems or these psychological problems or an attachment, like, let's say, for example, taking my case. So when I found Mrs. Munira Gulzar, no therapy, nothing was working to help me let go of Miss Asteria Desa. And then Miss Asteria Desa was turned out to be Mrs. Munira Gulzar's teacher too. Long time ago in 1950 in her college, 1948, 47. I don't know when she joined St. Joseph's College around those years, that time. So I managed to let go of Miss Desai. I thought it was a miracle. Then I had met a yogi, a professor, doctor now, Dr. Moyes, he's called. So he told me it is reincarnation. He tested my finger. He made me lie down and think of Miss Desai, and on the tip of my middle finger, he just tested it, and he told me to think of Miss Desai. And then he came to the conclusion that it's reincarnation. And he's a Muslim in Karachi, and I met him in Karachi. There's another institute in Islamabad. I've never been to Islamabad, so. But this is the case. You see children having problems. So even Dr. Brian Weiss found out that he had to throw away his skepticism and be open to reincarnation because of his one patient, to help his one patient. Now, background, Stevenson was born in Montreal, American-Canadian. He's from Canada. Early career, case studies. I think I did it. Where was his saying here? Criticism, painstaking, and unemotional collection of cases that were difficult to explain on any assumption other than reincarnation. In September 1977. Also, in some, Stevenson does not skillfully record, present, or analyze his own data. If a case regarded by Stevenson to be among the strongest of his cases, the only case of 20 that had its purported verifications and conducted by Stevenson himself, falls apart under scrutiny as badly as the Imad Ilawar case does, it is reasonable to conclude that the other cases in which data were first gathered by untrained observers are even less reliable than this one. Now I'm getting some new claims here. Somewhat less than conclusive evidence for reincarnation. So where was I in Wikipedia that I found? There's Shanti Devi, no. Ian, you see what I gathered, but this I was doing for YouTube, so I did not share that Wikipedia that I was reading out from in this video, evidence for reincarnation. So that evidence, scientific evidence for reincarnation, of reincarnation. Ian Stevenson's case for the afterlife. Are we skeptics, really just cynics? No, it was Wikipedia and evidence. Now I can. So this in Wikipedia, the thing I was reading out and the thing that I kind of understood was that the evidence of the personalities of the souls, how they migrate, which is called transmigration after death, and give birth to a new body, and they come. That evidence is not given. The materialistic scientists cannot find that evidence. But I was looking for is that the evidence by people, which now they say is hypotheses, because that evidence is impossible right now for the scientists to find after death, how the soul or something migrates, the personality of the person, past life phenomena. It is a hypothesis. And what now? Wikipedia. Wait a minute. Again, I'm going to search. So okay, I'm going to go into reincarnation, rebirth, conceptual definitions, Western world. Before the late 19th century, reincarnation was a relatively rare theme in the West. In ancient Greece and all this, believed in various forms of Emanuel Swedenborg believed that we leave the physical world once. Believed, but then go through several lives in the spiritual world, a kind of hybrid of Christian tradition and the popular view of reincarnation. So, skeptic Carl Sagan asked the Dalai Lama, Carl Sagan asked the Dalai Lama what he would do if a fundamental tenet of his religion, reincarnation, were definitely disproved by science. The Dalai Lama answered, if science can disprove reincarnation, Tibetan Buddhism would abandon reincarnation, but it's going to be mighty hard to disprove reincarnation. Ian Stevenson reported that belief in reincarnation is held with variations in details by adherents of almost all major religions except Christianity and Islam. In addition, 20 and 30% of persons in Western countries who may be nominal Christians also believe in reincarnation. According to Dr. Brian Weiss, in 1980, one of his patients, Catherine, began discussing past life experiences under hypnosis. Weiss did not believe in reincarnation at the time, but after confirming elements of Catherine's stories through public records, came to be convinced of the survival of an element of the human personality after death. Weiss claims he has regressed more than 4,000 patients since 1980. Neil Donald Walsh, an American author of the series Conversations with God, who says his books are not channeled, but rather that they are inspired by God and that they can help a person relate to God from a modern perspective, claims that he has reincarnated more than 600 times. So that one, I can find that Wikipedia. Skepticism is given, no, that Wikipedia on Stevenson, maybe I should, Stevenson University, Who was it? What did I do? I just posted something here? After, okay. Evidence for scientific evidence, University of Virginia reincarnation. So I'm looking for that Wikipedia. Again, I've come to Ian Stevenson, background, personal life and education, early career, reincarnation, early interest. Okay, here it is. How could I miss this? He said in 1974, looking back on his work, first, okay, let me just read this again because I started with the problems, that psychological problems. Stevenson described as the lead motive of his career, his interest in why one person would develop one disease, and another something different. He came to believe that neither environment nor heredity could account for certain fears, illnesses, and special abilities, and that some form of personality or memory transfer might provide a third type of explanation. See, there are people who have these problems, so he became a humane researcher on reincarnation. He did not dismiss it altogether because in science you cannot find that proof after death that some memory exists and then transmigrates in a body, a new body. That cannot be proven, right? But still, he took the chance against those materialist scientists. So he came to believe that neither environment nor heredity could account for certain fears, illnesses, and special abilities, that some form of personality or memory transfer might provide a third type of explanation. He acknowledged, however, the absence of evidence of a physical process. See, this is now the physical process by which a personality could survive death and transfer to another body, which I also was not thinking about when I say you cannot dismiss reincarnation. On the evidence that we people have feelings and certain things, certain, whatever it is, that we are reincarnated. He was careful, so survive death and transfer to another body. I wasn't thinking of this kind of evidence because scientists I know would not have this kind of evidence. And he was careful not to commit himself fully to the position that reincarnation occurs. He argued only that his case studies, he argued only on the basis of what? His case studies, right? In his view, okay, so I've put it in my words, but Wikipedia has written it like this. So continuing Wikipedia, he argued only that his case studies could not, in his view, be explained by environment or heredity, and that reincarnation is the best, even though not the only explanation for the stronger cases we have investigated. So there are some stronger cases which he has investigated. They investigated. He said in 1974, looking back on his work, what I do believe is that of the cases we now know, reincarnation, at least for some, is the best explanation that we have been able to come up with. There is an impressive body of evidence, and it is getting stronger all the time. I think a rational person, if he once can believe in reincarnation on the basis of evidence of this type, like, you know what I mean? So this type of evidence, case studying, person by person, reincarnation by, looking at how accurate is the memory. So in my case, I did not remember even my name in my past life. If I was Mrs. Munira Gulzar's mother, like that, my case would have failed. It wasn't a strong evidence. But the strong feeling remains. However, I could not find outside evidence for that. So my psychological and the psychological problems remained, right? So there's more here, and I will just for today wind up with this, just close up with this, and then later, let's see. So this is it, just very vague from my side evidence. I could not put my hand on it, like my finger on it, and say yes. And but if some psychiatrists, I'm very grateful to those psychiatrists who went into this reincarnation case by case, because it can really help. Through my experience, I learned 6 years in therapy in my teenage years. I lost, going to 2 therapists at times here, Darbadar, post to pillar, in that madness. I mean, in that hell. Sorry, it was like obsessive, hell, with separated from his exterior disa. So I had to go to a yogi, and he said he could not hypnotize me because I am a very intense person. So I might not come out, it would be very hard for him to make me come out of hypnosis, and then perhaps, I'd feel disorientated. He said I'd feel disorientated. And I asked someone else in London, and they said yes, they also went through hypnosis and therapy, and the therapist was having a hard time bringing this person back. Okay, so you see, that's why we need open-minded people to do more on this that we have, not about how the soul, how the right now me, Zahra, if whatever I know, and let's say I'm very attached to my mother, or wanted her to get well, and she passed away, and now I survived her, and now I die, and then I'm reborn, right? So, and then I meet my mother and I have these feelings for her, and she's also reborn. So, but I might have some problems, the overwhelming feeling once I find someone that I have known from my past life. Like I found Miss Asteria Desad, and it was so much. My heart was beating. If you've seen that movie Somewhere in Time. So it just happened that I wasn't like watching movies and, trying to make my life a movie. No. It was in 1977 when I joined Karachi American School. I was 9 years old then. So I met Miss Desai, so something happened. I became very attached to her. I didn't want to leave her, things like that. So if you have such problems, the only thing is the therapy doesn't work. Because, I also told my therapist that you can't do this to me and get me well. I'm beyond this. So I had this sense feeling, like they could say what an arrogant statement she's made, that I'm beyond this therapy. This therapy is not going to get me over Miss Desai. So they could think I'm arrogant, right? But I had this feeling that this therapy, this thing, it's love, it's that connection, it's the bond, it's sacred, it's beyond this therapy, mind and all. So now I've explained, maybe the Indians also have this feeling that, sometimes like we had, in religion also we had the same feeling that our Shia Islam was true, and Imam Hussein's. But there was some later on when you have a crisis, then what is the truth? Then what helps is when you have a crisis, when you've hit the bottom, And so let's see what helps the people. So these psychiatrists and all, I'm very grateful to them because then actually it was reincarnation and meeting this new person that helped me. So it was the timing, the timing, the divine timing, and things like that, right? So I don't think the Indians are lying, or just because it is in their religion, they dogmatically believe in it, blindly believing in it. And we Muslims have still not got it. Like we think that if our hearts have told us, or the scriptures have told us, we have to go deeper and go, that they are lying, they're just a mess. They're just हमें बेवकूफ़ बना रहे, dogmatically, blindly following they're telling us this, and then Haris Sultan is telling them, well, reincarnation is a hypothesis. It has not been proven at all. But the soul you cannot prove. Of course, we know that soul, that type of evidence is not there. So, going round in circles again, I am, and I guess I'll put it off here and then continue later to when I'm able to explain things better. One thing is that you cannot equate Muslims with these Sanatani dharmas. So we have learned to, believe, for us also Muslims, how it is. But so we have to get our grip of this, that equating Muslims with Hindus, blindly following and lying about reincarnation, saying that they are atheists and then saying that we believe in reincarnation. So they are just faking liars. You see, so maybe to Gulzar Elia, and then he's spreading this kind of a thing, which makes me like, someone would start to close one's heart and start to get angry at Hindus. How could you lie to me like this? So the evidence is there in the cases, the person. That evidence, I don't think the Hindus meant also that evidence. Now, we all know the scientists cannot go after death and find what happens to the soul, or if there is a soul in the first place, or what survives after death. We all know that. So I think the Hindus were just saying that no, reincarnation evidence is given on this case study of the personality and what they remember and their past lives, the person they were, and to go and search for that person to find out, like a 2-year-old case, right? Tucker and Martin. I read out a few interviewed lines from somewhere on the website. And so sorry I haven't given any references here under my comments. And so so this was something. And so the Hindus are, I don't know, the Hindus, you cannot equate. Where it sounds like the Hindus are lying and, हमें ऐसे rubbish दे रहे हैं. बेवकूफ़ बना रहे हैं, making us, deceiving us, they're dishonest liars. No, it sounds only like that. So, see, you materialistic, hardcore atheists. Now, how can they say that Sanatani Dharma, rational thinking, you're bringing it to rational thinking when there are some things which are beyond the mind? So, how to explain it to a Gulzar Elia and Haris Sultan that there is something beyond rational mind also? सनातनी धर्म को रैशनल थिंकिंग से ख़तरा है, तो इसलिए वो like a dogmatic or leave your religion. You also cannot shove your limited knowledge into their throats, into the Hindus' throats. So totally different. I don't know why they are equating. I don't know why they are equating Islam with Sanatan Dharma. They should take some time to go to gurus or something. Or if they don't want to they think it's a waste of time. Or I don't know what they think. So this is injustice they are doing. Haris Sultan and the gang. Now Gulzar Elia is another gang with Haris Sultan. So I will continue later.